That day in class, we were being assigned spirit beasts. The top student chose the mystical serpent, Qingming, an SSS rank beast, while I, being the last one, ended up with an F rank snow wolf. But not long after, I witnessed the frozen apocalypse arrive. I shared the gift of cold resistance, and I saw that Byroxy's serpent failed to grow in time. On the very first day of the end of the world, she froze to death. Byroxy envied me and attacked my wolf together with other students. I watched as they cooked its meat in a pot. I heard Byroxy pretend to feel sorry for me. She told them to help me rest, and also told them to do it cleanly, so she wouldn't have nightmares. I couldn't fight against all of them, and died torn apart. When I opened my eyes, I had returned to the day of the assignment. I was about to take the wolf again like before, but Byroxy stopped me. I heard her say she wanted to exchange the serpent for the wolf. The entire class froze in shock. Even Professor Shanghui Fang was stunned, speechless. She asked if Byroxy was still half asleep, saying that serpent was an incredibly rare ancestral relic and that the wolf could never compare to it. She asked why she would trade a phoenix for a chicken, but Byroxy pretended to care about me. She said that if my spirit beast was also weak, I would never be able to cultivate. She claimed she already had a strong foundation and that even with an F-rank beast, she would still stand out, so she proposed trading with me. The moment she finished speaking, the whole classroom praised her. I heard everyone telling others to look at her. They praised both her grades and her kind heart. Some even used me as a comparison to make her look better. Someone told me I should thank her. I rejected her directly. I simply said I wanted the wolf. Byroxy told me to stop being stubborn. She said she understood my pride, but this was about my future. She claimed she was doing it for my own good. That was when I realized it. She had also been reborn. In the previous life, she had chosen the serpent and frozen to death on the first day. My wolf had awakened the gift of cold, and she had gone mad with envy. Now she wanted to steal the wolf from me. No chance. I looked at the little wolf in her arms. The little guy stared at me with amber eyes, wagged his tail, and tapped Byroxy's arm 3 times. It was so gentle she didn't even notice. My heart skipped a beat, and my eyes became moist. That had been our signal in the previous life. I immediately understood that he had also returned, and was telling me not to be afraid. I looked away, and calmed my voice. Once again I refused Byroxy, and told her the serpent suited her better anyway. Before I could finish speaking, my right hand suddenly hurt. I looked down and saw the serpent already coiling around my arm. Blood flowed out, and the serpent licked the wound. I felt a strange tingling sensation. Golden runes emerged from the wound and spread across my arm. In an instant, the serpent formed a blood pact with me, and on top of that, it was a shared life pact. The entire room exploded into chatter. Someone shouted that the serpent had chosen me on its own. Another recognized it as a blood contract. Everyone said my luck was absurd, but someone quickly denied it, saying that if the serpent died, I would die too. They believed the serpent wouldn't survive, and that I had been tricked. I saw Byroxy smiling among the crowd. She knew exactly what she was thinking. In the previous life, this serpent had frozen to death. She believed the same thing would happen again, and since I shared its life, I would die together with it. To her, it was the perfect plan. After the serpent sealed the pact with me, I returned to my seat. The little serpent proudly lifted her head, and in my mind I heard a sweet yet fierce voice. She arrogantly asked what I was staring at, said her name was Qing Li, and demanded that I call her Lady. I flicked her on the head. I was surprised she could speak. She confidently replied that, of course, she could talk. I asked why she wanted to form a pact with me. She bluntly said she simply felt like it. She despised all those opportunists who clung to power. She said I was useless, sure, but still 1,000 times better than that fake flower. On the platform, Shanghui Fang explained the pact circle. Afterward, everyone began trying it out. I saw that Byrock finished first. She bit her finger and drew the circle in the air. Light instantly covered the little wolf. Nobody noticed that the F-rank wolf altered 2 nodes. The equal contract turned into a master and servant pact. The wolf became the master, and she became the servant. When the circle finished, she felt dizzy for a moment, but quickly recovered. She happily looked at the little wolf in her arms. The wolf glanced sideways at me and proudly wagged his tail. I secretly gave him a thumbs up without anyone noticing. After the contracts were completed, I received 10 spirit stones. They were enough resources for 1 week. I kept 1 and gave the other 9 to Qingli. Qingli happily chewed on them. Crack crack. In less than half a minute she swallowed all 9. Her belly only puffed up a little. She still wasn't satisfied and demanded more. I told her there were no more left and that she would have to wait until next week. She complained that she couldn't wait that long and said she was still growing. I asked how old she was if she was still growing. Offended, she shouted that she was 300 years old. I was even more shocked. 300 years old and still that tiny? Furious, she insisted she was still in her juvenile stage and told me that if I had never raised serpents before, I should keep quiet. My classmates watched me talking alone with a snake. They laughed that I had given her 9 out of my 10 stones. They doubted I even wanted to advance my cultivation. They said spirit beasts grew very slowly and that the stones should have been used on myself. Shanghui Fang sighed and slammed my desk. She reminded me that spirit stones weren't meant to be used that way. She said I was throwing away all my resources and warned me that if I failed the test, she wouldn't be able to help me. I obediently left the classroom with Qing Li in my arms. As I passed Byroxy, she blocked my path and said she had something to tell me. She admitted she knew I had also been reborn. She declared that the wolf and the gift of cold now belonged to her. I simply replied, okay. Then I wished that she would live long enough. She bragged that with the ice soul wolf she would live an amazing life and told me to freeze to death together with my useless serpent. The moment she said that, Qing Li lifted her head and spat a green cloud directly into her face. Byroxy's face instantly turned green like a moldy kiwi. Furious, she screamed that I was insane. Everyone around burst into laughter. I walked away with Qing Li without looking back. Along the way, Qing Li muttered again in her fierce yet adorable voice, saying that anyone who called her useless deserved poison. I stroked her little head and couldn't help smiling. I hadn't expected her to have such a strong personality. Raising a spirit beast was a bottomless pit, and I was short on spirit stones. From my previous life, I knew of several spirit veins, but the Bei family had already moved first. Byroxy had used her family's influence to block all the known veins and station guards around them. As a poor student, I couldn't even buy a single spirit stone. I went searching for a small vein I remembered from before. From a distance, I spotted tents belonging to Bei family guards. I hid behind the snow while Qingli swallowed nervously. I told her to stop staring because they were already occupying the place, but she encouraged me to take it back. I saw more than 20 strong men. It was impossible. I couldn't rely on a snake as thin as a finger. Offended, she insisted her poison could knock all of them down, but by the time she did that, I would already be beaten to death, so I decided to leave. As I turned around, I noticed faint footprints in the snow. They curved toward an abandoned sewer tunnel. I had a strange feeling and followed the tracks. About 10 minutes later, everything suddenly opened up before me. In front of me was a natural underground cave. The walls were filled with spirit stones. They weren't high quality, but there were countless numbers of them. I was just about to crouch down and gather them when Qingli suddenly tensed up in my arms. Her scales stood on end, and she stared into the depths of the cave with golden pupils. I immediately knew there was something inside, and I could feel it too. A pressure emerged from the darkness, as if an enormous beast was approaching. Even the spirit stones embedded in the cave walls trembled. Instinctively, I stepped backward and clenched my fists. My palms were sweating when I suddenly heard a voice coming from the darkness. In a timid tone, that voice called me, "Brother."